There you
All
go.
right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Lisa Reichert. I am the Career and Professional Development Lead with People and Culture and part of the People and Organization Development team. And I am connecting from my remote office at home in Oakland, California today, where we are enjoying quite a bit of rain. And I just want to thank you all for joining us today from wherever you're connecting from and this is our 8th now Encore series workshop offering of the fall semester. And I'm excited to introduce you all to Jeffrey Williams, who is here to share his story and some strategies to help us all to give it all and level up ourselves and our career by leveling up others. And Jeffrey is an experienced system administrator and software developer. He's developed skills, habits, and practices to solve difficult problems in IT, as well as some areas of design and UX or user design. He has focused on Google developer technologies, email servers, Linux, and programming in Python, Perl, JavaScript, etc. And beyond IT, Jeffrey has developed skills in public speaking, leadership, and community. And he's created and runs event series such as the School of Cloud and the School of Data to inspire, educate, and uplevel others. And Jeffrey, welcome and thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge with us today. I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Lisa. So as she said, I'm Jeffrey Williams, and the talk today, it's really a distillation of the process that I've been following this year and that I was following for part of last year as well. And it's just had really incredible results, and I would like to share them with you. And yeah, let's see. So we'll go to the first slide. So these are some details about me. The things I wanted to mention, to call out specifically: I always wear bow ties, been on TV 4 times, climbed to Devil's Tower, but I didn't make it the first time. The next year I went back, and in the meantime, I climbed over 1,500 times up a route, up, down, up, down, up at a climbing gym. And then when I went back, it was easy. I've hosted over 100 educational events this year, both on weekday and weekend evenings. One is a weekly interview practice room on the Clubhouse platform. Another is a Read to Lead book club, also on the Clubhouse platform. And then on Wednesdays, I've got these Google Developer Group Cloud, so GDG Cloud Twin Cities meetup, where we're learning Google Cloud Platform. Basically, we're learning how to use all different parts of Google Cloud Platform week by week. So that's been working out really well. During the pandemic, a lot of people were starting to do less. They were doing less things because they were spending a lot of time, and lots of us were spending a lot of time paying attention to the news and seeing all this stuff about the virus or whatever. Like, you probably had more free time than before because you didn't have to drive. You were kind of stuck at home and things like that. So you saved some time, but then what are we going to fill it with? You had lots of opportunities, and I had a lot of choices of what I could fill the time with as well. And one of the things that I did was I leveled up, and I started to give more to others and to the community, and things like this happened. Amazing growth charts like that. But we'll get into that later. First, let's take a look at some of the kind of things that people have said as a result of the effort that I've put in these last 2 years. Things like, I love what you have to say, you're so eloquent, or performance reviews, saying things like, I'm continuously looking for opportunities to improve things, or having in-depth knowledge. So the sharing with the team, sharing with others, not just learning something, but sharing it with others to help them build up as well is kind of a theme here. Those GDG Cloud events on Wednesdays, other people going and enjoying them and sharing back these nice quotes. I feel good about that. I'm helping someone and they feel good. And also I'm getting to practice my different skills And at the same time, people are enjoying it and then sending nice quotes back. Or the interview practice room, people are liking that and then sending comments. So having a good mindset and putting work out there into the world to help others, it really pays back a lot of dividends. And when you get things like this, when you get compliments, save them. They're great in multiple uses later on. I like to do one work for multiple benefits. Like some of these quotes were related, or anyway, I can use the same quote in multiple different scenarios or contexts, as long as I still indicate kind of the scope around it. So first up, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset and health. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I had more time. I did the binge watching of Netflix. Did anybody here do any binge watching of Netflix during the pandemic? If you binge watch something, you can throw it in the chat right now. And as you're typing in, and you're just thinking like, oh yeah, that was fun, and yeah, I binge watched some things on Netflix, and then but I had more free time. And I also knew I had this vague sense that health is important. I know health is important, but that if there's going to be a pandemic, that Andrea said she did some binge watching, that there's going to be a pandemic, so there's going to be stress. So if there's stress and I need to maintain my fitness are two things. So I couldn't go into the indoor climbing gyms anymore. So if I can't go climbing, I'm going to lose that strength that I had to be able to climb Dell's Tower, to be able to climb the challenges that I face. So I bought a bunch of exercise equipment, and here's a pro tip. I put little pieces of exercise equipment all over the house, so that wherever I am, I have no excuse. So I made it super easy for myself to exercise. So when I'm in the kitchen, I'm waiting for the toast to toast, or I'm waiting for the microwave. There's 2 dumbbells right there. I can do some curls, or over close to where my work computer is. This other setup here has the lights and stuff. By the other computer, I've got a power tower, which is like a tall tower that you can do pull-ups with. Now, my son was with me during most of the beginning of the pandemic, and he would use that a lot. Having exercise equipment around, because the gyms were closed, was something that really helped with keeping me positive. Like, if you feel nervous, lift something, things like that. So I was exercising, and it made it easy by putting the equipment all around. Another thing that I was learning. Because of the pandemic, different people were trying to figure out what can they do to help their communities. My state, Minnesota, gave free Coursera access to people, because they wanted people to level up, and they wanted people to develop their careers and themselves. So I took advantage of that. I signed up for that. I signed up for a psychology class in the University of Toronto, and I did every single exercise, every optional exercise, watched all the extra videos, and read up on all the things that linked to. And that was very, very helpful. It got me thinking about things like stress. Right? Do you have stress? I had stress. All of us were having so much stress during the pandemic, but then I knew a little bit more about how stress works, where it comes from, why we have it, right? And you're also in a psychology class thinking about the body, the different systems in the body. And when you are, well, I then started to think about, well, what am I putting in my body? So I got into a habit of cooking, home cooked meals, cooking for myself, food that is healthier than what I was eating before, and got this habit of Googling like, what foods are good for this? What foods are good for that? And then kind of picking out which foods I think I'm going to add to my diet. And then also Googling like, what foods don't I want? What foods, like, what are the pros and cons of each of these foods? So things like blueberries, a lot of pros, and I couldn't really find much for cons. So all right, they're on the list. I'll have blueberries every day. bananas are good. There's all kinds of different things that are good for you. So spinach, you don't even have to like it. Just eat it. It's good for you, right? So I changed my diet. I was doing more exercise and working on my diet, but I didn't start out with a plan to change my diet. I started out with a plan to learn something because I was kind of bored. I'd watched enough, done enough binge watching of shows on Netflix. So I was in the right space for that. Also, because of that Google developer group that I run, Google had a program where they were encouraging the organizers of those meetups to themselves level up. So they put out publicly these events called Google Elevate, like to level up. So I started to go to those once a month. And those were on things like, gosh, a growth mindset, negotiating, personal branding. Now the personal branding one, that links to something that we'll talk about later, because there was somebody that I met while I was personal branding and improving my LinkedIn and making a really great LinkedIn profile, then that linked down to seeing a post that I otherwise wouldn't have seen that then really made a change in my life. So I'll talk about that a little in a little bit. So cooking healthy, Googling what foods are good for what. You are what you eat, right? Your whole body and all the different processes of your body are all powered only by the things that you put in and consume. So that's so important. And the mind, so taking that psychology class, I'm also thinking about the mind and about mindset. One of the things that I found during this pandemic time was I found the app Clubhouse. And there's a group there called Our Mindset. So I joined that group, but first I would just listen in. I'd listen into their events. Okay, they're really positive people. They're talking about positivity and they're talking about things like you can do it and things like that. And you know, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you should probably spend time with people that are positive and who are growing and who are improving. So then you can grow and improve too. Some people surround themselves with negative people. Then you're just going to have more negativity. So the mindset was something that I was working on by being a member of that group, by listening for a while and then raising my hand tentatively one day. I was afraid to be speaking in public like that, being recorded. So that was a big step. And I got up on stage. Now it's an audio only stage, so you didn't have to worry about cameras or people looking at you, right? You only have people listening to you. And it said some things, and then I was done. And then somebody else was talking, and somebody else was talking. From that, they grew into becoming one of the moderators of that group. So sometimes for 3 or 4 hours, one or 2 nights a week, I would hear, like I would be there and people would bring their stress and their worry, or people would bring their positive mindsets. Lots of different people bringing their different opinions, and I would help the people try to think positive. Well, so you're in a bad situation, but can you make it a little bit better? Like, is there something you can do right now? And people would find that they could do something. Even if you're in what you think is a perfect situation, there's something that you can do to improve either your life or someone else's life. There's somebody who's worse off than you that you can give them a hand and kind of help pull them up. So meeting positive people and hanging out with them, that really helped me get into a mindset of possibility and growth. And then that link I mentioned about LinkedIn. So because I was hanging out on LinkedIn to try to do the personal branding stuff, because I had went to that session, one of the guys that I saw a post from him on there, he was talking about this group. He said, "Oh, I'm going to be presenting at this group on Thursday night." I thought, well, that sounds like an interesting presentation. It's a guy about AI and machine learning stuff. So I signed up for that. And so I discovered a community that was meeting every single Thursday during the whole pandemic, pretty much. They took off for like winter break and stuff, but every single Thursday. So there's a group learning Google Cloud every Thursday, all pandemic long. So I joined them. And first, I'm sitting there with my camera off, just watching and doing the hands-on activities, but it's camera off, muted microphone, right? And eventually, I'm talking in our mindset group, I decide to ask a question, so I unmute. And the next time, maybe I, had my camera on and I unmuted and I talked. And after a while, I had learned a lot. There's things that I was answering questions in the chat that sometimes the presenter didn't know. I was like, all right, so I was attending those events. A couple hours every Thursday, I just had started that habit. It became a habit. They had a good trick though. They would give their attendee, they had a raffle for the attendees. So if you won the raffle, maybe you'd get a Google Cloud hat or something, and people like to get something bonus, something they didn't expect. And that little tip, actually giving people something extra, more than they expect, that can work wonders for you in your career. So we've talked about mindset, we talked about health, and how I was kind of learning, and this is kind of the seed of this idea was, gosh, like I could probably make some events just like these. So I started with those Wednesday night events. So I'm learning from Googlers on Thursdays, and I'm teaching other people on Wednesdays. Now, we've got a little activity where we're going to go and talk about making time. How can you make time to try to be able to learn some new things that then you can share with others, and even making time just to work on the mindset things, or making time to work on health, so that then you can have more capacity, more energy. If you've got more energy, if you've been doing more exercise, you've got more energy, more power that you can apply to help other people. And there's a lot of people that need it. So they need you. And right now, what we're going to do is, I have a link to this. This is a Google Jamboard, and we're going to take our work and we're going to put notes into these different quadrants of like what's really important and really urgent that you work on. This is an individual activity, but I'll give you the link for it. And then what's like not important and not urgent that you're working on, so that you can kind of think how can you put more effort on the things that are important and urgent, and that are important but not urgent, and less effort on those things that aren't really important, so that you can free up some time and some mental capacity, so you can grow your skills and to grow by helping others. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this URL. I've already got the URL right here. I'm going to paste it in the Zoom chat. And when you click on that URL, just click once. I know it's tempting to click on it twice or 3 times because it looks like it isn't working. Just click on it once, and that will make a copy of this Jamboard. Okay. So over in the Zoom chat, there's a link. Like I said, click on it only the once, and then wait a second, wait 2 seconds, wait 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see how long. I'll click on it once, and it says, do you want to make a copy? Like, yes, I do. You'll click make a copy, right? And then after you click to make a copy, then don't do anything until the copy shows up. And here it goes. See, I just made a copy. It took about 5 or 6 seconds. But now I've got my very own Jamboard. Now, a Jamboard, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a lay of the land, okay, what this is. And this is used in elementary, well, maybe not elementary, but at least in middle schools, high schools. It's used in companies and things. This is the companion app to a big board that Google sells. Google sells this big board that's a screen that you can use markers and stuff to write on, but we're just going to use it with these little notes. Take your little notes, and you can move the notes around. And what you can do, so we've got a personal activity, individual activity. So you can click on a note, and then you can change what it says. You can also change the color of the note if you wanted to keep things grouped in a certain way. So maybe something really important for me is to keep servers running. Well, that's pretty generic. It doesn't but okay. I mean, yeah, I guess that's an important thing to do. And is it super urgent? Well, not super urgent. Well, sometimes it's urgent. Right. So what would that be? So like take the different things that you do at work. Like maybe you've got something about like filing documents. Well, is that important? Well, maybe not as important. Is it urgent? Maybe not so important. So maybe it's over here in that quadrant. So we're going to put things into the 4 quadrants on your own copies of these. And then once you've got kind of your work, if you've thought about your work and what things you're doing, then we'll come back and we'll go to the next step. And for a little preview, look at this. We've got some cool things coming up where we've got graphics and things in the Jamboard as well. So first up is just a personal activity to come up with what it is that you're doing in your work, and nobody else is going to see it, only you, so that you can think about, is there something that you're doing that maybe you shouldn't be doing, or you should try to delegate to others, or try to get permission to just stop doing, to make things simpler, to free up some space, so that then you'll be able to learn some new things, share those things, and will help level up others up. So we've got more to the presentation after we get through this activity. So right now it's 55 minutes after, and just turned to 56. So we'll go for 10 minutes on a personal activity. So the buttons, in case you're curious about any of the buttons, there's a pen you can use to draw. There's an eraser you can use to erase. You can only erase the things you draw. You can't just erase a card. See, it doesn't work. There's a pointer that you can use to move cards around, move these Post-its around. There's a button to make a new sticky note. Now, I live in Minnesota, the land of 3M, so I call them Post-its every time. But there's a button for making a sticky note. If you wanted, you could even add an image. So maybe there's an image that represents the work that you're doing. And then you can make shapes if you wanted as well. But mostly we're going to be working with the sticky notes and making new sticky notes and just moving them around. And you can also resize them by grabbing one of the corners. So you can make something important more or less important. What I did to make it easy for you was I pre-arranged to have there were a bunch of notes already there, right? When you copied the Jamboard, and they were small, medium, and large, so that you wouldn't even have to worry about making them. You could just drag them and edit them with the text you want them to have. And this isn't something that you have, if you don't finish it right now, it's something that you can come back to as you're thinking about your work.
So Jeffrey, something that is high in importance and high in urgency would be in this top right quadrant, correct? And
absolutely.
Something low in importance, low in urgency is in the bottom left. And something that's high in importance but not urgent would be the top left.
Yeah.
And something that's very urgent but not important is going to be in the bottom right.
So like if you were a system administrator like me, maybe I'd get paged about something like, oh, the server's not working. There's actually a paging related company called PagerDuty that they even have a barbershop quartet that recorded humorously that they were singing "The Server's on Fire." The server's on fire. So you can actually have your, if you had their product there, it would sing to you on your phone that the server's on fire. Like, all the system administrators, they're just like, oh, not again, not again. But hopefully it's nothing that serious. Hopefully it's like nice, happy things like your boss set a new priority and it's super urgent, and so let's put the important and urgent up there.
So right now we're thinking about our work, the things that we do in our work or have to get done, and we're categorizing them in terms of the level of importance and urgency.
Yeah. And you can sort them by color. You can change the color. If you click on the three dots, you can change the color of them if you wanted to. And if you've got some idea that doesn't fit in just one, you can click the duplicate button to make a copy of it. And then you could have some of your notes be on one page and some on another. So this matrix, dividing things into 4 quadrants like that, it's tried and true, time-tested method to make sure that you're focusing on the really the important things, and that you're thinking about, is this thing that I'm doing, is it actually important? It might be urgent, but is it actually important? If it's not, then maybe you shouldn't even do the thing. So you've got some reflection time right now to work on this activity. one note about this is, you're actually learning a new skill at the same time, right? You're putting items out there to help think about your work, but you're also learning about how to use Jamboard. So 2 benefits from one activity. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. It's things change over time, right? We change, but also the work changes. Maybe there's something that's not urgent now, but it's going to be urgent when it gets closer to a deadline. So there might be something where you have to put something crossing the line, right? Where it's closer to the edge, or it's farther to one side or another. When you're looking to use things like this, you can put your own background images. So you can use it really for whatever you want it to be. So are people ready to move forward? Are you ready to take the next step, or at least go to the next slide with me? Let's see what people are thinking. If anybody says like, no, I need more time. Got that chat box over in Zoom, and let's keep going. All right. So ideally, you found some things that you're doing that aren't really urgent, that aren't important either, that you'll be able to kind of take out of the list of things that you're focused on, and to free up some capacity, and so that you can work on the things that are more important, the things that are more urgent. The more that, like, there's so many things to do that it's easy to be overwhelmed, right? Having your main attention on the things that are important, it gets noticed. It really gets noticed. For me, it has, and it will for you as well, because the importance is set by the same people, is set by management, and they're the same people who are doing the performance reviews. So it's good to think about that you're focusing on the things that are important to them and that are important to their management, because that manager, they've got a manager too. So if you can help them score points with their manager, if you can help them, help their manager reach their goals, then that helps you as well. So this is a thing you can do, this task prioritization. So the goal of it is to help you make some time. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to fill that time with? If you free up some time, if you put some priorities around things, you're going to have a goal, and then that'll help drive the rest of the process. So when you think about goals, I've got some, oh yeah, and great comments over in the chat, folks. Happy about those things. So let's start with something. I'll talk a little bit of something that was shared by Bob Proctor. He's talking about people's attitudes and how, and this is I guess a tiny bit about mindsets too, before we go to goals. That your attitude, you've got your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And other people can only see the actions. They can't see your thoughts. They can't see your feelings. So you need to take actions, and your actions, if they don't match what you're thinking and what you're feeling, that you're not going to be able to achieve your goals. To achieve your goals, you have to have those three things aligned: the thoughts and feelings and the actions as well. The more you're aware of those, thinking about those, the easier it's going to be to set and reach goals. Those three are like three ingredients, and he had a really good description about this. Those three ingredients. It's like if you make a cake, and you give your kid a piece of birthday cake, let's say, are they going to say, "Wow, that was great flour," or are they going to say, "Oh, those were some really good eggs"? No, they're going to say, "That was good cake, Mom or Dad," right? They're going to appreciate the result, not the individual pieces. So if you only fix your thoughts, you actually still need to fix your feelings. You also need to fix your actions. Or if you fix only your feelings, you still need to fix your thoughts. You still need to fix your actions. All three are together and are part of getting into that mindset shift to be able to set goals and to really achieve them, and to make a positive change in the world. So those things are together. And if you keep thinking about the things that are issues or that are problems, a problem is really just an unanswered question. Okay, you'll be able to solve that. Voltaire has a quote about that no problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. There are people that wake up every morning. Now think about this kind of person. There are people that wake up at 7 a.m. every morning and spend a whole hour. Now, I'm not this kind of person. I'm a bit of a night owl myself. But there are people that wake up at 7 a.m. every morning, take a blank sheet of paper, and as they're looking at that blank sheet of paper, they're writing their most important thing that they have to do at the top of that blank sheet of paper. And they're writing 20 things, just brainstorming for an hour, 20 ways that they can solve that big problem. Now, even if only one of those ideas was good, even if two of those ideas were good, then at 8 a.m., they've got two possible ways to work on, two possible solutions to their most important problem, and it's 8 in the morning. Now, for us night owls, that's 8 in the morning. Gosh, I mean, I don't have to work until 9. I mean, maybe I could sleep till 8:30, like different people have different schedules, but there are things you can do. And there's an amount of focus and intentionality you can apply that seems superhuman. Who does that, right? Who writes that sort of thing every single day? So I'm not saying you have to get to there right away, but if you really put a lot of effort on something, you're going to make progress. You might not know how to get there all the way, but you know how to make it a little bit better. Take a small step. Every time you take a step, you're one step closer. And because you're one step closer, when you look around, it's more clear what the next step is after that. So you don't have to know exactly how to get to the goal. You just have to have kind of general direction. Even if you're off a little ways, you're still getting closer to the goal, and you just adjust the direction. So we've got that. And things like, you can repeat to yourself things like, this too shall pass. If there's something that's a problem, this too shall pass. If something didn't work well at work, if something didn't work well at home, this too shall pass. All the things that were your most important worries before, well, hopefully all of them, but things that you've worried about in the past, this too shall pass. That you got past them. Look, you're still alive today. You're alive and kicking, and you're here. So you can remember that and repeat that to yourself when you're feeling like there's some, when you're feeling like you've got some challenge that you're faced with that you don't have the answer for. You can work on that, but also you can know that this too shall pass. Now we're talking about goals. As we're talking about goals, I've got something pretty unique. Okay, it's going to be unique to you because it's your own goal. It's not going to be my goals. It's about your goals. So you've got to have a goal, and you've got to be thinking then about that goal, about how to reach that goal, and about, you're going to have excuses about why you can't reach that. Excuses about what's stopping you, what's in the way. Like, oh, I can't do that, or I can do this, I can't do that. If the emotion you feel about reaching the goal is stronger than the emotion you feel that's holding you back, like the emotion you feel about those excuses, then you'll be able to make it. So if the emotion you feel about the goal is stronger than the emotion you feel about the excuses, and that's a choice you have to make, right? If you want to reach your goals. So what kind of goal do you want to have? How do you define leveling up? Is it leveling up in your job, leveling up in your skills, leveling up in your expertise, leveling up in, leveling up the size of your network? Do you want to level up how much service you're providing to others? What is it that you want? I want to think about that. And if you don't have a good idea of what you want, there's an exercise that Howard Berg talks about. He's the world's fastest reader, a Guinness Book of World Records holder. He talks about this. You can think about, if you're having trouble thinking about an immediate goal, you can think about what your longest term goal is. Like, what do you want to achieve before you die? What's something that you want to have done before you die? Like, so serious, so far down the road. Okay. And so you don't worry about the details of it because that's far away. It's far in the future. So if you wanted to, for example, visit every continent by the time you're that old, well, then you could think, okay, well, so what if I want to reach that by the time I'm, on my tombstone or whatever, or in my epitaph or whatever? Well, what do I want to have achieved? What do I have to achieve by 20 years to be able to make that happen? What do I have to achieve by 10 years to make that happen? What do I have to achieve by 5 years to make that happen? If you want to run a marathon, for example, on every continent, that would also meet the goal of visiting every continent, right? What do you have to do to achieve that? By how many years? And then back it out. So start with the far off goal and come back. So thinking like, okay, well, I guess I would like to be a great public speaker. So if that's your goal, what's that mean? And when When do you hope to have that? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 2 years from now? And then you work backwards and come up with a goal for 2 years from now, a goal for 1 year from now, a goal for 6 months, a goal for this month. What do you have to do this week? What do you have to do? What could you do right now? What's the smallest step you could take right now to work towards your goal? Is that, I guess I could find the phone number for the office that I need to call to get the, permission to go to Antarctica so that I can get on that. Or, there's a running store I saw. I could go pick up a pair of running shoes. If I want to complete marathons on every continent, I guess I at least could take a look at the shoes and maybe I could try one on, like you can take action towards a faraway goal, but you can take some immediate actions, even if they're small actions, and consistent small actions, they make a huge difference in your life. There are people that eat, they're trying to build more muscle. So there are people that eat a little more protein and do a little more exercise every day. Not more than the day before, but like they had their old diet, they start eating a little bit more protein and they do a little bit more exercise. Your body needs that protein to build the muscles that you're going to be building from the more exercise. So just a little change, but over a long enough time makes a big change in your life, in your health, in your situation. So talked about that a little bit. So want to set a goal and want to write it down. And I think it's good to have 2 goals. And they can be 2 different kinds of goals. If you don't know what all you have for a goal, one thing I heard from someone was you could just write down money. If you don't have a goal, you could write down money, because if you get money, you can use it to help you reach your goal later on when you have a goal, right? But you probably have some goals. Maybe you want to have your kid get into one of the best universities. Maybe you want your kid to go to the best university. Maybe you want to, think about it. What do you want? What's your goal? And you can continue thinking about that today during this session. And it has a context. It has a purpose. There's a reason you want that goal. And you can think about, well, why do I want it? What would it really look like to have that? And is there a purpose that I have in reaching that goal? Is that part of a larger goal? So get a couple goals, write them down, and look at them every day. I've seen people do the Post-it method, right? Write your goal on a Post-it and put that on your mirror in your bathroom. You wake up in the morning, you're going to go brush your teeth. You go to and at night before you're going to go to bed, you're in there, you're brushing your teeth, you're looking at your goal and you're thinking, and then your brain, it's a magical, wonderful thing, right? In the morning, you woke up and you looked at that, and maybe all day you'll kind of be thinking about, hey, how could I reach that goal? And you'll find things. You'll find little opportunities to get closer to your goal. And in the evening, you read that, then your mind is going to be thinking about that when you're asleep. You won't even be awake, and it'll be doing hard work for you. So your goal will start to end up in your dreams, and your creativity will help you find how to get to your goal. Let's say you've got a goal. Well, all right. So what do we have to learn to be able to reach that goal? So you've got this goal. What's the thing we have to learn? So this is where you turn to finding a mentor. You turn to online courses. You turn to books. You turn to people who have done it before. Who is someone who's already reached the goal you have? Maybe you can find their contact information. Maybe you can find somebody who knows them. We work at Berkeley. We know a lot of people, right? And a lot of people will take a call from somebody at Berkeley. So is there someone that you can talk to? There is. There are people that have done the things that you've got as goals. You can find out how they solved that goal. From the worst things like overcoming cancer to great things like getting into a good school. And it might be it's a goal that you have for someone else in your life as well. It doesn't have to only be about yourself. So when you're going to learn, I was doing this. I was learning and sharing my progress. I started with just learning. I was taking that course online. I finished that course, that psychology course from University of Toronto and Coursera. And then that felt good to finish the course and to get a great score. So I worked on that, and then I shared my progress, said, hey, LinkedIn, I completed this sort of thing. And you get the little heart, or you get the thumbs up or whatever emoji from somebody in LinkedIn. But that's only a temporary thing. That only helps yourself, and like, oh, you did a thing, yay for you. But if you help someone else, so if you learn so that you can help others, that pays dividends over a long time. That helps them, that helps you get improved, they get improved as well. And then, the people that are volunteering, they're so happy and cheerful. And that gets you people that are then going to want to volunteer to help you, to share and to teach others, and to help you make even more success, make even more people get closer to reaching their goals. So I would share kind of progress, but then the next step is I started to share key takeaways. So then people could save time by not reading or not having to take a whole course. Maybe they found out, oh, this course wasn't very good. The instructor was very difficult to understand, or this was a great course. I recommend everyone learn it if they want to reach a certain goal. So being mindful of the time, I have to move to the next one. So then I started to learn and teach and share that out, like teach and share, right? And record the sessions. And when I would record the sessions, then that gave me a chance to see how I looked when I was speaking, to hear how I sounded when I was speaking. And I would hear the ums and the ahs, and I didn't like it. Oh, if you listen to yourself the first time, it's, oh, that's what I sound like, right? And I would edit the video before I would post it to YouTube. So I went from learning hands-on to then teaching others hands-on. So I was learning in those Thursday night sessions. I was teaching then in Wednesday night sessions, and sharing what I was learning with others who were one step behind. We're all if you're in a race, you're actually not in a race with anybody else. You're in a race against yourself, just how far and how hard you're going to push yourself. But there are still people that are a little bit further back that could use a hand. If you ever don't know what to do, help somebody improve. That always works. And by recording and then posting it to YouTube, gosh, that becomes something that by putting events out there on the calendar and people would sign up for the events, then I knew I had to, because I said I would. And I would repeat to myself, and you can repeat to yourself, because I said I would. If you say a mantra like that, you're going to be so trusted, because you're earning that trust, because you're doing the thing you said you would do. I said I would be here and I would have slides. I'm here and I have slides. I said I would be here and we'd have a Jamboard. We have a Jamboard, because I said I would. So you can repeat that to yourself when you're feeling like, oh, should I? Oh, can I? Oh, this, oh, that. You're going to do the thing because you said you would. Okay. Now, the next piece on this learning was so I was learning and teaching, I was sharing, but gosh, editing the video got to be too much time. I was spending too much time editing those videos. So I was teaching and sharing my knowledge. I was recording it, but then I started to only post. So I would post about it and what we learned and post to invite people, but I did stop adding to the YouTube channel. But I added in some other things to help out. So yes, we're in the, oh yeah, exactly. I love the comment over in the chat from Michelle. Like, yeah, it helps you hold yourself accountable. It's like you can make a decision to do the right thing. And the more you make the decision to do the right thing, the better things are going to go for you. And that's kind of it's a superpower, right? So I added on a book club because I wanted to learn. I was going to learn anyway. I was going to try to learn how can I teach better? How can I present better? One of my goals is to become a great public speaker. So how am I going to do that? Well, the book club I started, we then read, in that book club, we read Talk Like Ted. to learn how to talk like the TED speakers. What skills do they use? What tools do they use? How do they connect with their audiences? And after that one, we read, now this was a little more commercial of a book, like the No BS Guide to Powerful Presentations. See, it sounds a little different than the Talk Like TED, but theirs has a little bit of a salesy aspect to it as well. But we would read and learn from that book and discuss it. And the discussion really helped. It was more than just, I could read that on my own, but if I have a chance to discuss it. So I opened, started a club in Clubhouse called Read to Learn, Read to Lead, because of that quote, readers are leaders. So I made the Read to Lead book club. Every week, we're just meeting and we're working on those books, discussing those books. And then now we're on the book, Words That Work. So we're just keep on this topic of like presenting in public and speaking. And others are learning, and then I'm benefiting and they're benefiting. They're discovering these books. And if they were already interested, they're sharing back to me. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that piece. So if there's something you want to learn, you can post events about it. And that's what I started to do. I would just post an event publicly, and then I can hold myself accountable to that as I share that with others. So when I'm posting events, this is the kind of that fourth step. So learn something, find somebody who's farther ahead of you and learn from them, either from a book or from a course. And then almost immediately, you want to start to share events. Well, at least this is what worked for me. Share events out to help people who are beginners in that field, who are early in their career, who are at the beginning of the race, who are just at that starting line, to help them learn. And then by having students, you will improve. By having a mentor and students both, that is a really great way to learn, because you're going to have questions that the students ask you that you don't know the answer. You can ask your mentor. So you'll already have a source of questions that you can ask your mentor. Your mentor might encourage you to, try learning this, try learning that. So you kind of keep moving forward, and you're also helping the students level up and move up at the same time. So hosting events, learning new things, sharing those things, posting events, it's kind of a circle, a cycle. And that's what you want to work on like that. So let's see, what other things do I have? I've got some notes. So I talked about finding a mentor, taking notes, focusing on one thing at a time. Your brain can only think about one thing at a time. So if you're trying to multitask, by the way, it doesn't really work. You've got to stay focused on one thing. So if you've got some negativity, focus on something positive, and your brain will automatically not have capacity to be worried about that negative thing. You might have seen a kid that fell down, they dropped their ice cream, and they're so angry about that, or they skinned their knee. And then you distract them with, oh, hey, look at the cute doggy over there. What? And they stop crying and they go look at the cute doggy. Or you get them a new ice cream, and then they stop crying about the scraped up knee. Your mind can hold one thing at a time. So make sure that you're focused when you're working on these things. So the things you're learning, make sure that they're focused towards your goal. The things that you're sharing, the events that you're creating, make sure they're also focused towards that goal. There's a lot of people who they're like grass. They've got grass. Their painting has only grass. Your painting is going to have a big, tall tree with lots of leaves. The tree has a lot of focus in one direction. Then it can branch out later after it gets tall, right? And all the people that just do lots and lots of little things in so many areas, none of them ever grow to be big and tall like that tree. Okay, so we got that. We talked about goals. We talked about learning something, sharing something. How are we gonna get this out there? How are we gonna promote it? So when you're thinking about that, we've got to think about what do they need? What does someone else need? What do they want? How can I make this work? So we're going to do an activity right now. If you go back to your Jamboard, if you go back to the tab that has the Jamboard, Okay, and you worked on the importance and the urgency, right? The second page of this, I have got this example of a journey that you can go. You can think about kind of what are the things that are going to support me in reaching towards my goals? What are the things that are going to hold me back? What are the things I have to watch out for? And what's that beautiful goal that's ahead of me? And there's a second page. So I don't know if you saw this, but up at the top of the Jamboard, there's this 1/4. You're on page 1 of 4 pages. You can click to expand to see all of the pages. You can click to minimize that as well. But if you go to the second page in the Jamboard, you see this journey. This was kind of this idea I have for you is that you can use the Berkeley Now contest. You can use other events that you're attending. You can use really anything any wind that's in your sails that's pushing you to improve. Maybe it's someone that's a good friend of yours that's got a great mindset already. And you can put cards on this journey. You can go and say, well, what do I got that's working for me, working well for me? Or what's something that I have to watch out for? You know, maybe it's something in your family life. Maybe it's something at home. Maybe it's a neighbor that's making loud noise late at night, and you're like, just turn off the TV. I gotta sleep. I need to wake up at 7 a.m. and write my goal, and I need to write how I'm going to reach it. You know, now you've got this your goal over in the side there, and now we're going to actually go to the fourth one though. So this is going to be another individual activity. We're going to be on the 4th page of the Jamboard. You're going to put down, what skill do I want to develop? Let's say public speaking, for example. And did you hear me ever today say any ums or ahs that I hadn't planned? I don't think so. I'm getting better. Not as great as I'd like to be yet. See, I just said not a couple times there, but I'm getting better. And part of it was being intentional about it. When I recorded the sessions, that gave me a chance to watch the sessions and see how I did. How did people react? So you can learn from that, and you can ask people for feedback. So by doing more, you end up with a kind of a chance to reach a whole bunch of different goals. You increase your social standing by posting about those events, by helping others. You increase your accountability by putting those events out publicly. You increase your confidence by getting skills and sharing them with others, and learning more quickly than people who are only learning on their own individually. There's a lot of things I've learned from making groups, because the others in the groups, we discuss, and they have different perspectives and different ideas. You know, being consistent also helps with this, even if it's just consistent in doing just one more thing that you're doing. Maybe it's, if you were doing 10 push-ups a day and you do 11, that's going to help you over a long enough period of time. That will actually have a noticeable difference. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's, you know what, I'm going to complete one more work task before the end of the day each day, even though normally I would have stopped just because it's this certain time. Maybe I'll do one extra thing, and over time that'll start to add up. Your backlog, some queue that you have, is gonna decline, and you'll have more space. So by having those events, I got practice at speaking, I got practice at leading and helping others, I got practice at volunteers would offer to help. All kinds of great things happen. So I want those things for you. So what skill do you want to develop? How can you share it as you're learning it? Let's say, so public speaking. Well, how can I share? Well, I did a book club, for example, and I had some events where I got to practice as well. So one was a book club about books about public speaking and presentations. Another one, well, how would I going to share that skill? Well, I found, well, can I teach people? Can I use that skill as I'm and practice that skill as I'm doing something else? Yeah. So I was learning Google Cloud. So I was teaching about Google Cloud, hands-on labs, and sometimes learning at the same speed as the students, but I was the one doing that. So anyway, put some things in. How are you going to share it? For example, so I did a book club, but the book club was, we would speak and discuss. So we would use those, we would practice and use what we learned. How are the users, how are the people going to benefit from this thing that you're doing? So you're going to need to have some time to reflect and work on this. And then how are they going to find out about your events? And how will you know when you're done? So if you set some criteria, then you'll know when you can celebrate. I'm not saying it ever stops. Just like your heart never stops. You need your heart to always work. You need to keep always improving, but every once in a while, you deserve to have a break. You deserve to have, a celebration of the progress you've made. So make sure you work that in as well into your plan. So what do you want to develop? How will you know when you're done? Who are you going to help? So how are you going to share it? Can you make a group? Can you find a group that already exists and start to volunteer inside of that group in a way that's going to practice or exercise that skill that you're trying to develop? And then think about who can be helped from that. How do they benefit? And how can you increase their chance of success? Is there one extra step? Is there one little extra thing that people don't normally do, but if they did, would give them a 2x, 3x chance of being successful? And when you're thinking about this, think about how positive you'll be if you're thinking in your mind about how can I help others be even more successful? They are going to think positively about you. So now I want you to take some time, and you've got this activity, and I'm going to change the colors of these because I choose to, and you can work on this Jamboard activity, and you can return back to this when you're thinking in this process and when you want to work on this the journey. So you've got some things you can work on here. And if you would like to, you can even share this with others. So we're going to do breakouts, and you can screen share with your peers on this page. So go to this 4th page. You can screen share with your peers, and you can get help and you can collaborate on that. So that's kind of the main thing I want us to do for the rest of the time. And then when we get to the very end, I do have a slide we must we really have to visit at the end, just to kind of wrap this all up and put a bow on it and make sure that you can take real massive action in your own life to make things better and to help others along the way. So now is the time to work on this activity.
So Jeffrey, are we doing some self-reflection time or moving into breakout groups?
This would be the breakouts, and you can then work on these inside the breakout. Of course, you'll need a moment to put in what skill you're going to work on, but then together in groups, you can brainstorm about how you're going to share it. So let's say your goal was public speaking. Well, maybe there's some other, maybe you've got some other idea. Maybe the idea will be like, well, you could start a Toastmasters group. You could find out if there's already one around. You could join that, and you can go there and learn from others, and then you can also help others that are less skilled than you and help them level up and things like that. So you can get active out in the world and share. So help each other think about how will I share it when you're in the breakout.
Okay, so I'm going to move everybody into breakout groups of roughly 3 people, and let's take 10 minutes. So you can take a minute to introduce yourself, and then take roughly 3 minutes each to share and to ideate on ideas of how you can help that person share it. All right, any questions before we move into the breakout groups? All right, here we go.
Okay, So I got invited to room 1, so I'll,
Yeah, you don't have, it's optional. You can go in if you want to help, or
Mhm.
you can stay here.
okay, so I'll be in room 1, and then I'll jump to room 2, and then I'll jump to room
Okay.
3.
And I'll just hold the space here.
Okay.
We have 16 minutes left. Hey, Michelle, did you need help moving into a breakout room? Michelle, are you with us, or maybe you're tending to something else?
Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Oh, geez, what happened to my background there? Am I in the car? Am I driving? Am I having a cup of coffee while driving? No, that's just a virtual background, folks. But so just one pro tip: people connect differently and think about you differently when they see that you've got a sense of humor. So another piece just to weave into this is to have it. Oh, breaking news! We have to focus on our goals every day. Make sure that you're focused on your goals. Have those goals written and look at them every day. Now back to our originally scheduled program. Okay, that was a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but the group that I was in, as soon as someone shared their screen, oh, you're interested in storytelling? Well, and facilitation was somebody else in the group was, oh, I'm doing facilitation and I'm interested in improving my communication skills too, they said. And I'm interested in storytelling. I just signed up for a class about storytelling. So it was a really interesting group. Did anyone have any really interesting things that happened in their group? And then I will share my screen again. So take this moment to raise your hand. I see, and to raise your hand, what that means is move that mouse a little closer to the raise hand. And then click that button. Okay, or you could just unmute your mic, but the chat works too. The chat works as well. All right, so hopefully some of that was interesting and is going to help you. I saw multiple cards on multiple columns, so people were thinking about this. They were thinking about how can they help others and how will that help themselves? How can you get experience? And then you can go and do something like say, yeah, in the last year, I've put on over 100 events aimed at helping people learn, or 50 events or 5 or even just 1. But see, during that pandemic, a lot of people were doing less. They were doing less and kind of feeling bad about it. And I got this idea that I should try to do more, much more. So by putting on a weekly event, I had to learn how to do that. Like, how do I organize my time so that I can make that work? And how can I streamline the processes? So how can I make that work? So I made myself extra busy, but then because I was busy, I forced myself to find ways to optimize and streamline and simplify. So if I'm going to do one work, I want that to have multiple different benefits. So I try to pick the things that are going to, like if I need to write a description for an event, I'm going to make sure that same description would work in the YouTube title and in the YouTube summary of it, as would work in the invitation to show up. And the title of the event, that's going to be the same as the title for the YouTube video. That's going to be the same as the title of the event. That's going to be the same as one of the headings in one of the emails I send out. So I'm kind of working it as a system, the different pieces together. And celebrate the wins when you have them. And you can do this publicly on LinkedIn or other places. And you can celebrate the process as well. Like, hey, I just completed the 10th, the 20th, the 14th, however many, this thing. If you start counting things, this is really a pro tip, is to near your workspace, just have a card. And when there's things of a certain kind of thing that happened in a year, just mark it down. Oh, that happened again. Oh, that happened again. And then when it's time for summaries, you'll be able to say things like, hey, look, this year, I dealt with 47 of whatever. And your boss will be like, wow, you did 47 of them? Yeah, that's amazing. You know, and that'll help you celebrate wins as well. As you keep track of the things that you're doing, then you can feed that into your reviews and into your greater success. So how can I help you? I can try to connect you to any of the resources I mentioned. I'm always trying to learn new things, and I used to attend tons and tons of events from all different kinds of parts of the tech world. And there were some that were great and some that were not. But the best thing about the ones that were great was that they would connect and help and provide resources, not just the event, but also resources that you can use to take forward into the rest of your time. So use that Jamboard that I shared with you. You can make duplicates of it and share with others. You can make a duplicate and then clean it up a little bit and share that with others. So you could take another copy of it right now from the chat, that link. You could have a second copy of it, of the original. You can give that to somebody else. So you can pay this forward to help other people think about and move towards their goals as well. Now, you all started as a single cell. Do you remember? Probably not, but you were one cell and you doubled and you doubled and you doubled. And you kept learning and learning and learning. Everything that you're facing now, if you've got any challenge, no matter how big that challenge is, it's nothing compared to the challenges you've already passed. To go from being one cell to being, millions of cells, or are we millions or billions of cells, right? All that way that you've already gotten is so amazing and so unlikely and so special that one little thing that you're facing now that you think, oh, I can never make it. It's just too much. No, you were one cell. You doubled and doubled and doubled. You've learned an amazing amount through your life so far. And I just want to honor you in that, because you're amazing. You've done amazing things already. And that next step, it's not as big as you're worried that it could be. And I want you to take some action on it now. And thank you for joining in this workshop today.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Really appreciate your time and sharing your own stories and strategies that worked for you in this cool tool, Jamboard. Many of us learned a new tool and a way to use it to think about how we can develop and share our skills and level up. So thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. I put the evaluation link in the chat, and I'll follow up with an email with the evaluation link and the link to the deck. And hope you all have a great rest of your day. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Lisa, can I stay on for a second?
Sure. Okay. We'll let everybody leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the recording's still on.
Let me turn
But that was
off.
great.
Yes, that was excellent.